If you're anything like me, you're all about that money when it comes to that anime merch. But what about the Demon Slayer figures that are not worth that money? Here is my top 10 list of worst Demon Slayer figures ever. As far as I know, keeping it consistent, all of these figures, they're official. So number 10, I'm kind of starting with a whole category of figures. I see this specifically a lot with Demon Slayer, and it's every single Demon Slayer figure that's just stanced up like this. I don't know what it is specifically with the Demon Slayer anime, but they have some sick figures. They have like special effects, they have the fire going on, they're striking some poses, it's awesome. But ones like this where they're just standing stiff as a board, as boring as possible, like really, I don't know what they were thinking. This is incredibly boring to look at. Number 9 is the Mugen Train passenger seat figure. Have you ever wanted a figure to put 2 other figures on? Well, maybe then this would be in your top 10 best list. However, I don't know how passionate I am about a literal chair. It may be lore accurate, but it's still just a chair. It doesn't even come with the figures to sit on it. You have to buy the figures separately. So, $22 plus shipping and handling for a literal little tiny chair. Yeah, that earned it a spot up here in top 10 worst figures. The 8th worst figure is the Demon Slayer Kiyosumi Naho ramen figure. It's those figures that you're supposed to put on top of your ramen, so when you make it in the microwave, it you don't have to hold the lid down yourself or put something else on top of it. Inherently, this isn't really a bad figure, but why is it $1,560? Nobody I know on this entire planet is gonna spend that much money to just help their ramen heat up. And to be honest, I don't know anyone who actually uses these figures for their purpose. There's something kind of sketchy about mixing really hot air with plastic. I feel like the plastic's gonna melt. I'm gonna end up with 800% more microplastics in my body than I usually would. It's limited to 500, but there's no way that would make me feel better about dropping over $1,000 on this little ramen cover. Number 7 is this Yushiro figure. It's not inherently bad, it doesn't look stupid, it's not expensive, but it is literally the most generic and boring looking thing I have ever seen in my entire life. When I first saw this, I was looking specifically at Demon Slayer figures on eBay, and I could not tell if this was even from Demon Slayer, let alone which character was supposed to be. It is seriously like they intentionally made the most featureless figure possible and then just put Demon Slayer title on it and said, okay, you guys should buy this now. If you put this on your shelf, I don't think anybody would know what it's from. So number 6, you could think of it as a little bit of a throwback to number 10, as these also kind of are boring and just stand there. But it's all of those desaturated versions of those figures you see. It's kind of cool to have all the figures have a similar color scheme, even if it's not their original color. But the way they did it, it just makes these figures look like they're dirty and have been left in an attic for 5 years straight. There's a line of Part 5 JoJo figures where they all have a similar color scheme, and I think they accomplished that way better. The black and white theme, that's good enough where they can all be the same color scheme, but not just look like they're covered in dust. I've even seen people look at these figures compared to their original color and be like, why are they selling 2 of the same figure here? It's barely off from the original, but none of them look better than their original. They really just look like they're dirty. Number 5, the Demon Slayer random pencil with cap set. So to be honest, maybe calling this a figure is not the best definition, but it's a smaller version of something from Demon Slayer, so I'm still gonna call it a figure. I think hypothetically, this idea is pretty cool. You like Demon Slayer, you say, oh, I use pencils, need a pencil for school. Why not a Demon Slayer one? Well, it's $9 a pencil, and pencils, you need to sharpen them. Every time you sharpen it, it gets a little bit smaller and smaller. So this pencil, maybe it starts off cool, over time, it's just gonna disappear. I think this would have been a lot cooler if they made it a pen, something permanent, even though pens run out of ink. But if you're really trying to prove your point, you can replace the ink. But a pencil, trying to represent Demon Slayer with it's just going to destroy itself over time, so I don't think it's that great of an idea. Number 4, this is one you may not have even heard about or seen, because when I first saw it, I thought it was some bootleg merch on AliExpress. There is a Demon Slayer toy car line. If you would have said, I need you to make a top 10 video of the best Demon Slayer merch that doesn't exist yet, I think I would have got past 2,000 merch ideas before I ever thought, I want a toy car with Demon Slayer on it. This is for a small niche of people who really like cars and really like Demon Slayer. And if it was some extreme sports car, one of those $1 million cars, and they put Demon Slayer on it, that'd be understandable. It's like Lego Ferrari. Nobody wants a Lego Prius, they want a Lego Ferrari. But these are just like standard normal cars that people buy. There's even just a box truck one. It's really weird. But I think the worst one is definitely the Shinobu car. I mean, it looks like a Volkswagen Beetle, and everyone already laughs at Beetles, so why would you do this? Number 3 is the Inosuke Q Posket. I mean, to be honest, to just clear the air, I already hate Q Poskets. I think they're ugly, they're disproportionate, they're weird looking, their heads are so big, their bodies are like so tall and skinny, it looks weird. But this little bitch is like the ugliest Q Posket ever. Every time I see a picture of it, I think it's an AliExpress bootleg figure. It just looks so bad all the time. It has those mega bug eyes that look like they're about to fly out of his face. It is so jarring to look at, I never get used to it, and every time I see it, I can't help but laugh. Number 2 is the Tanjiro Pal-O pillow plush. You know, it's a plushie, does it count as a figure? I looked up the definition on Google, so maybe, I mean, it's a smaller version of something from Demon Slayer. But aside the point, this thing is so ugly. You look at it online, it looks like a stumpy goldfish cracker. It is so ugly. I see it all the time in stores. The 2D picture, it doesn't truly do it justice. You go on Google Images and look this thing up, oh my god. It does not translate well into 3D dimensions. It is so bad. It's so scary looking. I don't know anyone who actually buys these, but it just does not look good in any sense of the word. It's just so ugly and strange looking. Here we are, number 1 ugliest Demon Slayer figure. The Zenitsu Rubik's Keration Cube. This thing is so stupid looking. I don't know who on this planet thought, okay, we need a Rubik's Cube, except it's Zenitsu. It's Zenitsu himself. You know, they didn't even try to translate him into a cube like a Rubik's Cube. They just took him, made him look like a little doll, and then turned that into... They didn't even turn it into a Rubik's Cube. They just turned it into a Rubik's mechanism. So essentially, you have to like Rubik's Cubes, you have to like Demon Slayer, and you have to know how to solve Rubik's Cubes. Because if you don't know how to solve those, then you're going to end up with your Zenitsu all out of shape and whack, and you're not going to know how to put them back together. So you're going to be stuck with this ugly looking Zenitsu. I cannot think of anybody who would want one of these, unless they are just all about Rubik's Cubes and also like Demon Slayer, which the last time I saw someone use a Rubik's Cube was like 6th grade. That was like a decade ago. I don't know who's using Rubik's Cube in today's economy. I hope you liked my list. I got a few more, you know, criticizing those figures, got a few more lists of those. Subscribe if you like, it's up to you.